Hello, greetings everyone. My name is Ima Honora. I am a relationship therapist here on YouTube. I have a very interesting topic to discuss with you now. And before I proceed, I want to remind you that I'm from Anambra State, Nigeria. What that means is I'm an African. Okay. So what the insights I'm trying to give you now, the teachings are based on my experience as an African, as a Nigerian, as an Igbo woman. In Nigeria, I'm from Igbo tribe. All right. Okay. So let's talk about what you call your husband. Yes. I know that in some worlds, in some countries, in some continents, people call people by their names. What I mean is that wives call their husbands by their names and their husband calls their wife by their names. No such thing as pet names when it concerns respect. Okay? Yeah, people say stuff like baby, my love, darling, sweetheart, and stuff like that because of how they feel about their partner, right? So I'm going to talk to you now based on my tradition, my culture, as it regards a wife respecting their husband when it comes to pet names. All right. So I'm from Igbo tribe and we are culture people. We are known with our culture and traditions. And when it concerns marriage, we respect that a lot. And in our type of marriage, this is where a woman is meant to be submissive to her husband in accordance to our culture and our tradition. Okay? So I'm not saying it generally. It's peculiar to my people. All right? Now, in some areas where you see a wife calling the husband baby, babe in terms of B A B Y. Some say babe like in terms of BABE. But I tell you that where I come from, it is not very nice for a wife to call her husband baby. Okay, if you want to call your husband a pet name from my English word, the best name to call your husband as someone who is from my side of love life is daddy. Yes. If you are from my side, what you should call your dad, your husband, is daddy. Because our culture demands that your husband is your acting father. Provided as long as you are already married, okay? Your husband takes the place of your dad. He does everything for you. Our tradition, our culture demands that your husband, who is marrying you, who you married to, becomes your dad. So it's not very right for you. It's not very okay for you as someone who comes from my place to be calling your husband baby. If you want an English name for your husband as a pet name, you call him daddy. That is who he is. And then we have a name, a traditional, a local name, our indigenous name. It's not really local name, it's an indigenous name. Yeah, we have indigenous name for a husband in form of a pet name. And I'll tell you, my people are married women, are mothers, are grandmothers, are mothers of the old. They call their husband Nanyi. And Nanyi means my father, my dad. That is what our mothers call their husbands. That is what our grandmothers call our grandfathers. That is what our great grandmothers call our great grandfathers. That is their own form of pet name. In my place, we don't just say a pet name for the sake of saying it. We say a pet name with respect tagged into it. Now tell me, when you want to call your dad, your husband a dad, like Nanyi, would you just say it carelessly? Can you call your husband a father and shout at him? Can you do that? You see, I'm telling you, once it's marriage in my place where I come from, women are called men a lot of respect when it comes to marriage. And our forefathers are very much aware of the importance, the need for a wife to respect the husband. And that starts by the kind of pet name they call you. Okay? The kind of pet name they accept, they don't accept a pet name that does not have a respect tag to it in my place. All right. And that is why our forefathers often permits their wives to only call them one pet name, and that is Nani. Okay, and that is Nani. Nai means my father, our father, not even just my father. Nai is our father. You know, in my place where I come from, polygamy is not prohibited. And that is why when a woman is married, she calls her husband Nai, our father. You know what that sends a message? It sends a message to her that maybe in the future, the husband may take another wife. And she accepts that by calling her husband Nani. Had it been we are not a people who are polygamous by culture, she wouldn't be saying Nai, right? She would say Nam, that means my father. But no, she says Nai, our father. All right. I want to that, and that boils down to what I've always told us here about understanding the cultural background of the person you are dating before getting married to them. Now let's do this simple comparison. Okay. If you are from a country or from a region where polygamy is not accepted, can you now see there is every need for you to understand the lifestyle, culture, tradition, and norms of the person you are dating if he comes from a place where tradition where polygamy is not prohibited, where polygamy is a culture, a practice that is widely accepted. You see, when I told us about the need to understand your partner's cultural background, his beliefs or her belief concerning marriage, most of us thought I was just saying it for saying sake. No, it affects your marriage. It will affect your marriage. It may affect your relationship. It may also affect your marriage if you don't take good care of or if you don't pay good attention to all these things. Yes, whoever you are dating before getting married, make sure you find out their cultural background, what they see marriage to be, how they understand marriage, how their marital lives is, their do's and don'ts, their culture, their norms, what they believe a wife should do or what they believe a husband should do according to their culture and tradition. There is every need to you for you to find out before getting married to them. You know, you don't just get married and expect to change their culture. You don't just get married to a person and expect to change their culture or expect them to change their tradition or norms or cultural practices because they are married to you. All right. So, what that means is that by implication, if you did not find out how they behave towards marriage, like if they are polygamous people, you just get married to them without considering that. And then after getting married to them, you want them not to be polygamous anymore because of you. I'm not seeing the possibility of that. Okay, don't get me wrong. Yeah, they can do that. They cannot be polygamous if they want to. But remember, if they want to be polygamous, it's in line with their culture and their tradition. And you are not going to change that. That is what I've always told us to make some research, ask questions, ask him, ask her about how their marriage is, what they do in marriage, what they believe marriage should be, how their marriage works before getting married to them. So if it's something you cannot do without, then you call it quits. I've always told us that we can actually avoid divorce from the start. Yes. You know you'll be labeled a divorcee if you divorce. And stuff like that are things you can actually avoid. All right. So I am gonna be leaving you here with some few important words. All right. But before I say all of those, if this is your first time coming across this channel, do well to subscribe and do not forget to also click on the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you when next I post a video I go live. All right. So one important message before I call it a day is that before getting married, find out your partner's cultural background. All right. Find out what they love, what they do in marriage, their don'ts in marriage, and what they see marriage like before getting married to them. It will save you a lot of cries, a lot of pains, a lot of heartbreaks, a lot of you explaining yourself over and over again, a lot of you wanting to impose your opinion on people or people trying to impose their opinion or culture on you. It will save you that. All right. Do not forget that I'm so happy you watched my video, you listened to my word and my advice. I'm still your favorite in my honor. You're amazing relationship therapist. Have a good day.